good at that.
Turn your mic on,
Is that what it looks like?
if it's not on.
What's this sound like? Pretty good?
Okay, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Delafield Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, February 18th, 2021. If you'd all rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to the approval of the minutes of the January 19th meeting. Are there any corrections or comments? Now I'll accept a motion.
Make a motion to approve as they are.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the meeting of January 19th as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Dan, are there any communications? I'm not aware of any.
No.
Okay. There is no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. Item 5A, Gerald and Tricia Teslaff at N41W28088 Glacier Road regarding consideration and possible action on a certified survey map to reconfigured land at N41W28088 Glacier Road in N41W28010 Ishpat, whatever, Lane from 3 lots to 2 lots. Tim, you want to?
Yeah, it's very simple here. We got two lots. One gets access from the city of Pewaukee. The other one gets access off of Glacier Road from the town. The property that comes off of the city of Pewaukee, there's actually another lot that's up there. It's shown in dashed line on the certified survey map, but that is actually a separate parcel. It's actually landlocked right now. Don't know how that was created, but it was created. And so what this does is take those 3 lots and basically redefining the boundary between them and creating 2 lots. Both of the lots then having access to a public road. Both lots meet the code requirements. They're both served by, they're single-family homes. They're both served by, each one has their own mound system. So they're all in compliance with that. So it's just a matter of just trying to reconfigure the lot between them, lot line between them. I believe that they're relatives. They're related in some way. And so there's some technical corrections that still need to be made on that. So if there's any motion, then I just suggest subject to any additional technical corrections to be made.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant like to address the board? If you do, you'd have to come up and give us your name and.
Thank you.
We're not.
We're not tough people.
We don't bite. You
If there's any issues.
yeah. Just introduce yourself and that.
My name is Tricia Tetzlaff. I'm the land off of Glacier Road, and the other land that comes off of Ishpatan Lane is my dad's property. So I don't know if you guys have a map in front of you showing the landlocked piece of property that touches my property and touches his property. And so it was just something we've always discussed of kind of me helping him out a little bit on my side, him helping me out a little bit on his side kind of thing. So I'm just taking the initiative to put it into action.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
I do have a question because it came up on the original CSM, and we talked about this. There was an easement
Yes.
off of Glacier Road that was shared between yourself and then the property to the west.
Yes.
It's not shown on the CSM, so has that been vacated?
I did ask, is it Mark that did my survey? Mark or Mike?
Mike.
It's Mike. I did ask him if that could be eliminated, and I thought he said yes, but I can make sure. I mean, is that something I have to check with my neighbor, or is that something that we could just,
You can, I don't know how the easement is written, so you can get rid of yours, but by just not showing on the map does not get rid of it.
okay,
On that, so, when I did my report, I just assumed that you had, I think we talked about you dealing with that separately, getting rid of that, and then it wouldn't show up on the map.
Okay.
If you vacated that or took whatever action to dissolve that easement.
okay,
But you should do that, because if, just by not showing it on the map, you still have it there, and I know you didn't want it there.
right, correct, okay.
It was just it was basically a 20-foot easement, I think it was 20 foot?
It-
Or s-
Yeah, by like 150.
It was because, this is my husband Jerry, it was because when we first bought the property in 93, Glacier Road was a county road, it was called GR. And so we had to pull onto our neighbor to the west, their driveway, in order to get onto our property. And then when we built, that was in 93, when we built in 2003, you guys had granted us our own approach. So then we didn't need to pull on our neighbor's property anymore. Easement.
But
So-
it doesn't, Tim, it doesn't impact what we're doing.
No, other than it's
It
not shown
doesn't-
on-
I
it's
just
not
wanted-
shown on the map. I just want them to be clear that it's.
Sure, I agree.
It still could be there. Technically, if it's there, it should be shown, but my understanding is they want to get rid of it, so they should get rid of it.
The reason why I
As
brought
a-
it, the reason why I brought it up to Tim is because I'd like to clean this up for decades down the road. You know, like, I don't want to have to do this ever again, really. So it was kind of to clean it up.
Nobody wants to come and see us.
Hey, if we're first, we'll come all the time.
So, but it's not an issue on what you guys are looking at. It's not an issue now, but Tim is telling me that I need to address it in some way, shape, or form. I will down the road.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any board discussion? Seems pretty straightforward.
You're just cleaning up the landlocked parcel,
Absolutely.
making two conforming lots, so it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Really good thing.
Well, I will make a motion, if there's no other discussion, to recommend to the town board approval of the certified survey map dated February 9th, 2021, subject to the surveyor addressing any outstanding technical comments prior to execution of the CSM.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second for approval with a subject condition. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. You have your certified survey map.
So it goes to the town board on Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's the next step. I don't anticipate an issue, though.
What does that mean for us?
It goes to the town board, we're recommending it to the town board. The town board will vote on it on Tuesday nights, and then it'll be approved and you can go forward.
They're scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can email you the
Sure.
agenda when I publish it, so should be tomorrow, probably before noon.
Okay. You can always stick around.
He's running out of here.
All right, new business 5B. Wisconsin Hero Outdoors, Inc., consideration and possible action on a request for a site plan and plan of operation approval for Wisconsin Hero Outdoors to use the former fire station building located at W329 S690 Catamaran Drive, Highway C, for storage of recreational equipment and gathering for training, operational, and administrative functions. This is commonly known as the Firehouse Station Number 2, I believe.
I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the zoning on that, and I'll let them explain what they do a little bit more, because we're talking about a site plan and a plan of operation. But the land is zoned A2, rural home district, and then the fire station was granted under a conditional use way back in 1976. And so there isn't there really isn't a code that really addresses exactly what they do. So the way we looked at this is that the town holds the conditional use on that property, and the uses that we had for the fire department, granted they have special uses for a fire department, but in essence, what they do with that facility is they had their fire trucks and equipment stored there, and they had an administrative office, and sometimes they would have meetings there. Training outside, they had a training, they still have a training tower, I think, they're training, some kind of training facility. And so they use that, you know, it wasn't their home office basically, because we were a volunteer fire department, but it was just a facility for that type of use. Since the fire department didn't need that facility, I think it's been a couple of years now, the highway department has basically used that for storage out there. And so the use has not really gone away over time, if you want to look at it that way. So they're asking basically for a use to allow storage of their outdoor recreational equipment. They're going to use the office for administrative, and then have small gatherings there too, some inside, some outside. So I felt that it was basically a very similar use, similar to what we've allowed as a conditional use. And so this would be, we don't have to amend the conditional use, it's just that it would be allowed under the conditional use without any zoning changes or anything like that. We still would want to approve the site plan, which nothing's changing out there, so you got a very old site plan. I put an aerial in there, so nothing on the site is changing as far as physically. On the site, the building, they're talking about doing some things with the building itself, which they can talk about. But then they got the plan of operation, which I'll let them explain to you in a little bit here.
Okay. Any questions for Tim at this time? Because I'm sure we'll come back to you. Huh? Okay. Does the applicant wish to address the Plan Commission?
I have to hook up to get the video, so I don't know if you wanted the video or not.
Sure, that was actually going to be my first question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have the video? Okay.
I will sit back down.
They have a short video about what they do, so.
There were definitely challenges transitioning from Army life, a deployment life, to civilian life. Spending time in the great outdoors is just so rejuvenating for your body, for your mind, for your soul.
And we've got serenity. We've got sunshine and the breezes and some of those other things where, that doesn't come in the form of a medicine jar.
It helps get you back to nature. It helps you relax. If you have a lot of anxiety or PTSD, there's no off switch when you're in the military and you come from a deployment. If you're out in nature and see all the beauty, you feel a lot better.
What we're addressing here is more the spirit. It's amazing. There's no rush here. I mean, it's just peaceful being here.
The people that were at the VA that, again, understood and believed in our mission, when you can get a highly organized clinical setting like the VA to pair up with an organization like ours, then you have a recipe for success, which is proven very powerful.
Veterans are the best people to help other veterans. We get it.
When people are transitioning, they feel that no one understands them. But once they get around other veterans, it's like they've known them forever.
One of my favorite activities is talking. Sometimes you just want people just to listen and just say, hey, you know what? I've been there. I get it.
We share stories and just kind of heal together.
All the awareness and all of the commercials and bringing attention to things like 22 veterans a day committing suicide or just the mental strains of being a police officer or a firefighter isn't going to prevent somebody from taking their own life.
I've lost friends. 22 a day, that's what we're trying to fight against.
But a personal relationship and helping foster that feeling of knowing that I'm not alone, or that if I don't show up to the next event, somebody's going to miss me, that is something that's really important in this era.
A lot of people, their battlefield isn't, it isn't just in the foreign country where they were fighting a war. They come home and they have a battlefield here too.
I don't think I ever transitioned out. The effects of that time stay with you forever. For me personally, I mean, it's an ongoing adjustment. Oh my God. Just being out here in the nature, how nice it looks, and being calm out here, it takes the focus off of me, myself, for me. Despite whatever stresses I have going on, I mean, it's worked very well for me. It's really helped me a lot.
Thank you for playing that. My name is Eric Faulkner. I'm the executive director for Wisconsin Hero Outdoors. And you have to give me a second here, because I've seen that probably about 1,000 times and it still gets me. It's very emotional. First and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. As a almost decade resident of the town of Delafield, it's an honor to be here and to not only share our mission with you, but to have this discussion about the next phase of growth for our organization. And before I go into some of the details and address some of the questions that Tim had mentioned, or some of the plan and operations questions, I wanted to just set a little bit of the backdrop of why I'm here and why our organization exists. You heard a little bit about that. And I know I've got my two colleagues here who have a hook ready to get me away, because I could spend the entire evening talking about this. I'm on a monthly call with the VA and the Medical College of Wisconsin, the top doctors that address mental and physical challenges that are acutely affecting some of our veterans specifically right here and right now. And most recently, about a week ago on that call, one of the statistics that was passed down, the updated statistic, was that 900 veterans in the state of Wisconsin every year take their own life. 900. And there was a Brown County study that went from 2008 to 2019, and they averaged 13 veterans a month were taking their own life in the state of Wisconsin. And so if that can be a backdrop for the discussion of some of the technical issues that we're addressing here today about the building itself, I want that to be in the forefront of your minds, understanding that this isn't just a building that we're looking at. As somebody who's raising my family here in the town of Delafield, I've got roots. We've been operational here for almost 6 years now, and we're looking to take those next steps. And with that said, the two, I guess, main things that Tim had brought up, the first and the second paragraph of his eloquent report being the zoning issue. One of the elements it states there is that the structure principally is an institutional nature, serving public needs such as hospitals, rest homes, etc. Our humble beginnings back in 2016 were myself and two other veterans who were getting treatment at the VA, and were going out kayak fishing for our own sanity, really, and a form of a healthy form of getting together and doing things, looking for camaraderie. And as a result of being at the VA, some of the doctors that we were working with noticed a positive change in us and our attitudes. Our wives and our spouses noticed change. And doctors at the VA and some of the social workers actually started asking if they could refer some of their patients to come out with us the next time we would go fishing, and we said sure. And the long and short of it is that shortly after 2016, moving into 2017, not only were patients getting referred to come out with us to go fishing, they began getting bussed out. And the two primary programs that we work with at the Milwaukee VA are the Inpatient Mental Health Rehabilitation Program and HUD-VASH. So we've got two groups of veterans. The Inpatient Mental Health Rehabilitation Program, sometimes called the DOM, is where veterans are physically staying at the VA for very acute mental health challenges and often associated with substance abuse. They physically have to stay at the VA before they complete their program. But we work in tandem with that program, and then HUD-VASH, which is veterans who are going through economic challenges. And they physically were getting bussed out to these events that we were having. And we asked friends, family, and neighbors for money to buy hot dogs and brats to cook in case the fishing was terrible that day, so we could at least send them home with a full belly, and it's evolved from there. So back to that second paragraph, our relationship with not only the VA but other government entities has grown significantly, so we are an extension of that therapy program, both on the mental health side, recreational therapy side, and on physical therapy as well. Most recently, in 2020, as we all know, COVID struck hard. We didn't know as an organization how that was going to affect us, but in late spring, we were contacted by the Army National Guard and Air Force National Guard Command, who had at that time began focusing on forming two joint task force, one of which was called Joint Task Force 64, which then evolved into Joint Task Force Delta. And these soldiers and airmen were getting pulled from different units to create these task forces that you've heard about to do COVID testing. And these men and women that were getting pulled from not only their original units in the National Guard, but all over the different state, were getting put up in hotels, and it was just it was a time of upheaval in their personal lives. And so the program called Morale, Wellness, and Recreation underneath the National Guard Command was struggling to find ways in which to keep morale up. When they reached out to us, we gladly answered that call and began on their quote-unquote off days taking groups of up to 25 and 30 of these soldiers out kayak fishing, canoeing, tubing, golfing, equestrian therapy, different things like that. So we really were fortunate enough to, out of the 500 soldiers and airmen that were activated during that period of time, and most of which still are active, we've served close to 400 of them just since late spring of 2020, and our mission continues with them over the next 3 weekends. We've got 13 teams of 5 that are going to be going out ice fishing with us, a lot of which will be at that facility, Lake Geneva, which I can talk about later as time permits. So as it pertains to the zoning of the fire station as A2, we are a direct extension of a government entity serving a public need. And then the conclusion of that statement, or the conclusion of that report, also discusses the actual functionality of our operation. Our mission is to connect veterans, first responders, and their families to the outdoors. And while we may not respond in tankers and engines and ambulances with the lights going and the sirens going, we do respond with our own vehicles in a non-emergent manner to some of these critical needs that are within our community, both on the veteran side and the first responder side. So the functionality of what we would be using that building for would again be, instead of tankers, engines, and ambulances, would be our trucks, our boats, our kayaks, our UTVs, and utilizing the building to organize our functions. We've been operating out of storage units and really directly at our different areas of operations for 6 years now. And when the opportunity presented itself as a former firefighter myself to occupy this building to continue our mission, we thought this would be an ideal purpose. So our physical presence in the building will be directly in line with what it was used for, and we expect to continue that well into the future. And I'll conclude with the fact that you know, it's some of those numbers, like 900 veterans taking their life in Wisconsin, are disturbing. The numbers for first responders are even more disturbing. Those statistics aren't as accurate, so I don't like giving those out, but it's heartbreaking. Some of my colleagues have taken their life. And we're not just looking for a building. We're looking for a home. And again, as a resident of the town of Delafield here, I've got my roots, and we want to continue to deepen our roots, not only in this community to serve the town of Delafield and surrounding areas, but to serve Waukesha County and the state of Wisconsin as a whole. And I can't think of a better way to serve the very heroes that worked out of that building than to continue on with our mission. So with that, I'll conclude, and thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address.
Well, I guess we'll take this in two topics. That was the site plan discussion, and I mean, I totally agree that your mission statement is in full compliance with the conditional use permit of being an institutional nature and serving a public need. I think it's a fabulous organization, and
Thank you.
I'm not concerned about the site plan for myself.
Okay.
I also think that we're looking for a partnership, and we don't need to rent this out, but when it was approached to us and the cause was explained to us, we see it more as a partnership going forward, and where you can service the needs of the community as well as the needs of the veterans and the first responders. So should we take this as one vote, or one vote on the site plan and then a separate vote on the?
I think you do it all in one.
All in one? Okay, then let's go on to anybody have any questions with him regarding the site plan?
No, it totally fits the mission of the fire department and the fire station, and so.
Now, can you explain some of the operational?
Sure. So in a typical, I was thinking about this a lot before coming in and talking, and there's really no typical day for us, which is both exciting and causes some anxiety for some of our colleagues. But there is no typical day. But just to give an example, like for when National Guard Command reaches out to us and they say, we need to do an MWR, a Morale, Wellness, and Recreation Program, we go ahead and fill out what I've developed, which is called an event proposal form, which is, some of you might be familiar with a 5-paragraph order that the military uses, which identifies the who, what, where, when, and how of how a mission is going to be conducted. So we just translate that into really how are we going to organize this type of an event. So we take a look at what equipment we're going to need, what food, what staff, what safety precautions we're going to need to take, and then identify our area of operation. Is it going to be at our Lakewood facility? Is it going to be on the Wisconsin River? Is it going to be on a frozen lake, anything like that? So we'll put that plan together. We'll put together our vehicles with the proper equipment, and then we'll essentially dispatch a team or our staff out to that facility. And individuals, participants will either meet at location or, you know, we've met at Park and Rides or my house or another individual's house, and then we'll caravan to that location. How that would look in the form of us being occupants of the fire station number 2 would be that we would potentially have participants meet at our location here, caravan up from that location. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, but I'm sure as we go through the site plan, the board's going to have questions, or the plan commission's going to have questions. So if you could just bear with us, maybe we could go through it step by step.
Absolutely.
Tim, you have some areas highlighted here. I'm assuming they're highlighted because you had a question, or, you know, for example, on item 5.
On there. Yeah, the ones that I had is just, it says, in your, what you submit, it says, on occasion, the last sentence, on occasion, we will host gatherings at the building for training, operational, and administrative functions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and what does that look like? Can you tell us what that looks like, I guess, from a use of the building standpoint?
Sure. It's actually very similar to how the fire department would use it, and again, being a former firefighter, I can draw the direct parallels to that. We've got a variety of different equipment that we use. Some of it's a little bit more technical than others, and so when we have new volunteers or cycles of volunteers that come in, and we need to show them how one of our gators works, or how a new piece of apparatus, a fishing apparatus, works, or something like that. We would conduct a small training session on that piece of equipment at that location, so that they have a better understanding of how that works. As far as administrative functions, Tammy Sawyer, our development director, she organizes all of our fundraising activities, amongst many other things, but that is one of her primary duties, in addition to overseeing our internship program. And so that front office where the chief or assistant chief or the captain of the day or officer on duty would be operating out of there, she would essentially keep all of our stuff organized, our records, some computers, and function out of that building, and then be accessible for any walk-in traffic of people, officers on duty even, that want to stop in and see what's going on. And then, we would potentially host meetings with potential donors, sponsors, and things like that in that conference room that's right behind that as well. And we'd also look at developing not only training but operational plans. For example, we have a group of about 25 individuals that are coming out to our Lake Geneva facility this weekend. We would use that conference room, probably hang up either a whiteboard or a smart board in order to develop a plan on how to execute that mission. And so that would be how those would look.
Okay. So you're not anticipating inviting various, like 100 people there from your group to do an activity at the facility like you do in what do you call it,
Lakewood.
Lakewood place?
We don't anticipate that large of a number. We may have a smaller number, but I guess we would yield to getting permission for that, if that would be something that you would need if we were to.
What's a small number in your mind?
I would say, below 20.
Okay.
Below 20.
Below 20.
Yeah. See, we love the organization, and we'll work with you, but we have to also protect the property owners around it. And we
Right.
can't have 100 cars and 100 or more people attending a function with parking on C and everything like that. So we have to somehow put a limit on it.
Yeah, and I can address that specifically too, because one of our partners is Teffer Farms out in Hales Corners on Kelly Lake. Mr. Teffer is a Marine Korean War era veteran. He's let us use his lakefront property for several years, but their powers that may be had the same concern about go ahead to do it.
So you would not be opposed if we added a clause that says, on occasion we'll be host gathering at the building for training, operational, and administrative functions not to exceed X people, 20 people, 25 people, something like that.
Whatever would extend us beyond the physical parking lot, I guess, would be fair.
Okay.
We wouldn't want anybody parking on that street anyway.
Okay, and then what's the outside storage situation? You have a yes checked for that. That concerns me.
Probably put a trailer or something.
Outside storage?
Yes.
Yeah, that was indicated in the plan. So we do have a large 7x20 trailer, which will fit right in the apparatus bay, no problem. However, on occasion, if we needed to clear out some of our equipment to either clean or possibly host a small training session where we need to open up that area, we would have that trailer moved out. And it's my understanding that we'd be within compliance if we put it in the back.
As long as it's not visible from C, from Highway C.
We can.
Yeah, and we received the other day a copy of the lease, and we're in the process of reviewing the lease now with Dan, Tim, myself, and Eric, so that we should have responses to that before the end of February. And we've already run all of this by Eric and got his tentative approval on the site plan. And, we'll want to show him the plan of operation, but yeah, so this is fine. So you're okay with having any outside storage not visible from C?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm just trying to move this. I have a tradition of moving things along.
That's fair enough. I appreciate that.
Hours of operation, 24 hours.
much of an
We put that to err on the side of, we do have events that sometimes take us, farther up north, and we arrive back at the building later at night. But as far as a legitimate functioning, we're not gonna be hosting a 2 AM training session, at least while I'm executive director, so. That would be, if somebody drove by, or for example, if a squad drove by and saw the lights on at, 1 o'clock in the morning, it might mean that Tammy came back, or we had a fundraiser that ran late and we're still cleaning up, or we got gear cleanup after a muddy event or something like that. But as far as taking walk-ins or scheduled training, we don't anticipate that.
Okay. Well, just for background, we just approved that last month's meeting, a outside storage facility that had boat storage and RV storage. And we limited their hours of operation from 6 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock in the evening, because our concern is, again, the residents around there. We don't want them coming in. We don't want you coming in with 20 trailers at 2 in the morning after you've been up at Door County kayaking all day. So
That's fair enough. We'd be open, if you want to include that language, we'd be open to
you'd
that.
be open to, but I don't want to overly restrict you either.
Yeah, I don't think we need to it was a firehouse that operated 24/7.
We'll be a lot quieter than that.
Okay.
It's a little different because it's,
Oh, it's different?
This could have more activity. We're giving them the opportunity to have more activities there than our fire department had.
Yeah, if we were looking at the storage facility, right, just based on how many storage units he had, potentially he had much more traffic that could be coming and going than per se what they may have.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I don't know how others feel, but I would think that that's
So you're okay with 24?
enough of a difference. If you're coming back, right, these excursions, where else are they going to put the equipment if that is their home base? And even if there was something in there to say that maybe power washers or something to that extent can't be used, but, you're parking it and cleaning it up the next day, if we're concerned about the hours of which they get it back, and the activities that may go on at that time. Now, I'm doubting that anyone at 1 o'clock in the morning, even if they do have a military background, is really going to be all that up to cleaning the materials, but at least they can store it back there and presumably resume whatever activities need to be taken care of on that equipment the next day.
I agree. I just wanted the board to discuss it, because it
Yeah.
did stick out in my...
And to earlier comments too, it was a firehouse.
It was, yeah.
Granted, it has been a firehouse for a couple of years now, but still, it was a firehouse, and I don't anticipate them doing much more than parking it and securing it till they can get to it till the next day. I don't imagine them doing a lot of, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't.
No, that would be, the only other possible thing that came to my mind was that I know that there's the nuisance hunting that is available on the back part of the lot there that, either veterans that are going to be hunting or the general public, which we've agreed that if they're going to get there at the crack of dawn, they may be coming through and parking. So that's really, I guess, up to you guys, but that would be the only other thing out of an ordinary.
They'll scare the deer away, so.
Right, well, yeah, so they better sneak in, but.
Well,
Yeah,
they do
the
have-
least restrictive, if you can be with us, the best.
Well, if the board's
We'll
okay with
obviously-
24, then
All right.
that's fine.
Good to go.
And the lighting, the signs are not lit, so that's good.
We would, if we're gonna talk about lighting, we will be raising an American flag there, and at night, we will have that lit, with your permission, I guess, if that's within code. It would just be a standard light fixture at the base of the flagpole, shining directly up, not laterally.
Just so it's shining more away from the road, not
Correct.
parallel with the road. It should be from the front going to the back.
Yep, towards the building and back towards the woods.
Just don't catch the glare when you're driving on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just work
especially
with-
on that hill.
Work with Tim on that.
Okay.
It just, I think our code says that you can't create a glare towards the road or something like
Okay.
that, so.
Well, there's that light pole too, that it does create probably enough light to light the flag, but I think
Right.
per federal regulation, if it's up at night, you want the
Yep.
direct light.
And then, Tim, you highlighted item number 25, the storage of gasoline.
Yep, I think, I don't necessarily have an issue with that, other than, we should have, our fire department should be aware of that
Yeah, I agree.
and made aware of that.
Is that stored inside?
It would be, yes.
Yeah.
So we've got jerry cans that are essentially military grade. They're not like your Home Depot gas cans, the red plastic ones. These are metal and lock and secure. So again, as a firefighter, I'm very conscious of that. I've responded to fires for inappropriate or poor storage of flammable liquids. So, and I put 50 because that's definitely on the high end. I mean, we'll probably have 3 or 4 jerry cans full at the most.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Faulkner?
I guess I'll just ask one more. So the activities, let's just say a normal summer, do you have things going on, activities going on every day? Like taking kayaks out? I'm sorry. Or, no, let me say this. Will you have, I mean, everybody wants you to be successful.
Mhm.
And that success means you might have a lot of people that once you get a home base, do they want to get, literally I've been to like family camps, where they take the canoes out every day that they can, and they're banging them around and what have you. So in the summer, I'm saying it's a popular time. So I'm just trying to get a feel for, is this an everyday operation, or is it like about every 2-3 days something happens at the place of that nature? Or
You're not going to like my answer. It depends. And especially with the amount of new activity that the National Guard has requested of us, it will be fairly often. But if you look at the fire station as really how it originally intended, it's an area to store equipment and then dispatch to. Really, it's more of a pass-through. So it's, there's not going to be a lot of activity on the site other than the equipment coming in and the equipment going out.
is that usually 1 or 2 people with a trailer that comes in and out?
Generally, I'd say, yeah, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah, it's not going to be a huge dissension of people. If we had a fundraiser there, or if we had a barbecue or something like that where we'd have more people, that would be something. But that's not. Those are traditionally done at our areas of operation, outside, at the lake, at the park, or wherever the case might be. It's a beautiful, obviously you got the 6 acres or however big it is. It's beautiful, and there might be an occasion where 2 or 3 people want to do some snowshoeing behind there or something like that. But the objective is to not create a high traffic area.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to comment on that?
If you could,
You
well,
have to go to the.
yeah, go to the podium.
This is Tammy Sawyer, our development director, and my right-hand woman.
Part of the reason we want this facility and to have a home is so that we can have that base. And we don't foresee the general public and so forth coming and going and getting the equipment. It really is on us to take that equipment to an event or something.
Us being you two and.
Us and our program coordinators, like,
Okay.
we have a team.
Okay.
So I don't, we don't want 20 different people coming in 1 week to our home. That's not what we really want.
Okay, just want to get a vision of what,
Absolutely.
I could see this place being popular, having people come every day, grabbing things, coming late at night, and.
No, and I see, I can see where you're going a little bit now with this. And so if you compare it to like Sherpers, for example, like a kayak rental facility, we're not going to operate like that.
Right.
It would be great, maybe someday if we built a giant facility on a river where we are actually outfitting, that might be great. But as far as this building is concerned, we will be taking the equipment to people, not them coming and picking up stuff and going and coming. So it'll be very succinct.
In that same line of thought, you say the maximum number of employees full-time is 2. Now, if that changes, you'd have to come and modify your plan of operation.
Yes.
So you could just say it was 4, or 5 or 6, or, not that we don't want to see you again, but.
Right. Right.
I would err on the higher number.
Okay, I will make a note of that.
Well, I think it's.
Is that something you suggest we do a change now?
Yeah,
Or-
right now.
Okay, let's do 6 then.
Okay.
And similar to, back to that
number 5, maybe we come up with a number right now, not to exceed whatever that number may be.
Well, he threw out 20, which I think
Yeah.
is low.
That's what I was thinking too. I mean, I don't wanna tell you to raise it, but I would think you go to like 50 or 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of things about that, just as a state of, put this in the back of your head is, sometimes our events are, honestly, we call them healing events. And it is a very small group, as you can imagine. I myself, I am just a civilian. I was never brave enough to serve, so I'm an oddity in this group, but I see things differently than some of them do, meaning that these healing events are very impactful. We keep them small for a reason. We might be learning how to tie fly fishing ties, is what they do. And it's maybe 10 of us, and that's it. Other events, yes, we are closer to 25 or 30. That's usually the max, I would say, is 25, 30. I mean, if we had 50, great, we'll bring it on, not a problem. That's a challenge for me.
Well, I would think we want to give you
Right.
in the sense of partnership, we want to give you flexibility, and we don't want people coming in and complaining that you had 20 down and now you had 22.
Right.
And believe me, that
Well, I think
happens.
let's err on the side of a larger number and go with 75.
No, how about 35?
Oh, okay.
I was thinking 45 or 50.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it all
if
depends
we're
on
not-
what the parking lot can handle.
That's
It's
the
been-
mitigating
I don't
concern
know.
right there, is how
Yeah.
many vehicles can the
Parking.
parking
Right,
lot handle?
right.
And what's the contingency plan for parking overflow? Are you gonna utilize a ride share or something?
We've talked about that, where we'd utilize one of the park and rides and then just coordinate with a shuttle potentially. But that would be a very rare, honestly, I think the only time we would probably do that is if we coordinate some type of a ribbon cutting ceremony in the future, if things go according to plan here, where we would expect, I know I was on a Zoom call with the governor and the secretary of the WDVA. We received a very large grant this year, so I know they'd be interested in either coming or sending representatives down, and there's a whole host of people that would be over the top excited about celebrating this opening up as Wisconsin Hero Outdoors' new headquarters. So that would be pretty much the only time I could see us needing to utilize the park and ride shuttle situation. Anything bigger than that, we're gonna tell them to meet us at the place.
The way we could handle this is
It's an
set a
exception.
number like 40.
Yeah.
And then if there's gonna be a group more than 40, you're allowed to have that, but then you have to notify the town, as well as the sheriff, as well as the fire department.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
Kind of like we did with Hawes.
Exactly.
Pardon?
Kind of like we did
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Hawes.
yeah.
Exactly.
You have to just notify, and really, that's what it's all about, is the sheriff is not happy when all of a sudden cars are starting to park all over roads that,
And it's a county highway.
and they don't
Can't
even
do it.
know about it. If they know about it, they'll actually come by and patrol and kind of make sure things are good. But if they don't know about it, it's a little bit more like, why didn't we know about this? Why are we pulling?
Well, it's nice for town
Officers,
officials to know too when they get phone calls about, hey, what's going on?
As a former dispatcher who took some of those phone calls, I will,
Yes.
again, acutely aware of that, so
And yet we
I will
want you
be
to
wa-
have the flexibility to
Right.
run your operation.
Right.
And
I
not
appreciate
come back to us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Would you have a timeframe that we have to apply for that special?
And my understanding is it's June, correct?
No, I'm saying if we,
Oh, no, it's for an event,
yeah, for an
Oh,
event.
for the event, I thought,
No.
okay.
a week beforehand or something?
Okay.
I don't know, what would you?
I would say a week and then enough time for the
Yeah.
county sheriff to get
Okay.
involved and
Yeah.
for us
2
to
weeks.
forward it to.
You'll know within 2 weeks, won't you?
Easily.
Yeah.
And
so-
as Eric alluded to, is that we really do want to have a ribbon cutting event where we would have the town come and have other officials, and just think it's going to be a really cool win-win for
for sure the
everybody.
fire department, obviously, I mean.
Okay, any other comments for Eric or Tammy? Questions?
And then
All right.
one last comment I just wanted to make is, we've been talking about this quite a bit. Obviously, the sheriff, the fire department and so forth, they are aware of Fire Station Number 2. They check it out, they patrol it, they keep an eye on it. We will be making sure that they are welcome and that they know when we're coming and going, So as Eric said, if I'm coming home from a fundraiser at, midnight, we will alert dispatch so they know I'm by myself and I'm going to this facility. But we also want them to know that we're gonna have soda and water and snacks, and they can come in when they're feeling stressed out, even on,
Yeah.
and just take a break. So it's kind of a nice
great.
little marriage.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll close the comment section and go into or plan commission discussion. I think it's great.
Yeah, I can't imagine anything better.
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it's working with them in terms of a cooperative feeling. I think we'll just work it all through. And again, we're going through the lease now. We've agreed on all the core issues, and now the lawyer is involved.
Those lawyers.
Yeah, I know. So, any comments?
No, sounds like a really good operation, and a good thing for the community. I mean, my only question was just the logistics of, the board hasn't seen a lease, and I just wanted to understand kind of how that was all gonna, I mean, this is all great. I just wanted to understand
Understand the lease or the operation?
well, just the logistics of, I understand the plan of operation and the site plan, but just sounds like the board will get a lease.
I hope the board has a lease by the
I would probably
second
say-
meeting in March.
Yeah, second meeting in March. We
Yeah.
sent it to Eric
Okay.
today.
We're gonna send this to him and then have him incorporate from here, whatever. But the real hard, the length and the cost and everything's
Yeah.
already been proposed by and accepted by both parties, and then to be presented to the board for board approval. It's all subject to board approval. But we made good progress on it.
And our highway department is aware of all this, so
Yeah.
they're already preparing to make room in their cold storage facility for everything, so.
And I believe their time frame was that June date that I referenced to.
I can take the keys now.
Well, yeah, you don't want them right now for another reason, but yeah.
Wisconsin Department of Veterans Association grant, we were instructed to use those dollars by June 30th of 2021.
Yeah. We'll have, I don't foresee any reason, I expect this to be wrapped up by early April at the latest. Unfortunately, we are the government and we move at government pace.
I just want to plan the ribbon cutting.
Yeah. So with all that in mind, I accept a motion with the modified
Yeah,
changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the modified plan of operation to limit the gathering to 45 people unless notified with 2 weeks to the town, sheriff, fire department of wanting a larger gathering. Regarding the storage of the gasoline, just make sure the fire department is aware and that it's all stored in compliance with fire codes and everything. And then where's it?
Outside storage.
And then the outside storage, make sure that everything's stored on the side or behind the building so nothing is visible from Highway C. And then with the plan of operation, also modifying the 6 full-time employees.
Yeah.
Well done. Second.
A motion and a second to approve as modified. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Welcome. Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to cut off discussion, so we're having no discussion. Are there any announcements and planning items? The next meeting is March 2nd. We're back on schedule.
Well, and then we got to reschedule the April one, right?
Yes, we do. It falls
Yeah.
on election day, so.
We'll do that in
We'll
March.
do that in March.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
No election for 10 months.
Anything else, or otherwise we can adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Good night, everyone, or all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Turn us off.